And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you.
Have a safe and happy 4th of July as we commemorate the birth of our nation. A message from the staff of K98 Talk, the leader in Internet radio.
We will keep this promise to the American people. If you like your doctor, you will be able to keep your doctor, period. If you like your health care plan, you will be able to keep your health care plan, period.
This is the most transparent administration in history. Not even a smidgen of corruption.
Fact is, we had 4 dead Americans. What difference at this point does it make?
If you got a business, you didn't build that.
Oh, welcome to the face. Welcome to the face of the new democracy. Don't expect us to admit a mistake. We're paying off election debts to those on the take. Attorney General's lying even while
It's time to hear the truth about America's biggest challenges. You're listening to America Off the Rails with your host, Rick Robinson.
All right, folks, well, it is Friday, July the 3rd, and we're actually kicking this show off a little earlier than usual because I had the day off today. So this is technically a pre-record. It is live broadcasting right now, but it won't go out to the affiliates or the network until its usual time, which should be around 6 o'clock. So for those of you listening there, it is just now a couple of minutes past the hour of 6 o'clock in beautiful downtown Oklahoma City. It is the night before, or the evening before July the 4th, the day that we celebrate our independence from Great Britain, and a day that may not mean quite as much as it used to. Now, that being said, I'm trying to turn over a new leaf because, you know, we've had some exciting news here in America Off the Rails over the last few days. We've been picked up by a couple of new affiliates. We're now affiliated with SHR Media, who airs the show 6 o'clock in the mornings, Monday through Friday, which is, in their time zone, it's Pacific, so it's really, really early. It's 4 in the morning. But hey, where I'm at is like 6, and for a lot of you that listen, it'll be 7. So primetime driving, I'm just saying. Morning primetime drive, Haley Matthews. That's right, I just called you out on the air. I know you listen. You don't tell me you listen, but I've heard from other people that you listen. Anyway, I know a couple other local hosts that listen too. But the reason I bring up that is because I've been toying with an idea for a while. Because, you know, a lot of folks, once they hit the point where they're considered nationally syndicated, they come up with some big snazzy name that they start calling their loyal fans. And I think it's about time that you, although you are granted few and far between, at least for the moment, just playing. There's actually a pretty good number of you. We've got solid numbers and good listeners, and I want to thank every single one of you. So, that being said, pardon me a moment, I have been toying now, actually for almost a year, with what we could call the loyal listeners here at America Off the Rails. And someone suggested something to me months ago, and I don't know, I didn't feel like we deserved it yet. Yeah, we were on iHeartRadio, we were on the Spark Radio Network, we were on K98 Talk, but now we're on AMFM247.com, which some of you may have heard the episode from last night there that aired today at 1. Now we're on SHR Media, which is the one that I was just talking about a moment ago, and another really, really great one. I'm really, really excited about this one. I mean, I'm excited about all of them, don't get me wrong, but I'm really, really excited about this one, because these folks, you know that list that I'm on Top Talk Radio that says I'm one of the Top Talk Radio All-Stars? where these guys were actually part of a vote. There was a vote that was taken, and they've been voted #1 conservative grassroots radio network 3 years in a row by Top Talk Radio. And yours truly is now affiliated with them, and I couldn't be more pleased about that, because there have been some vast improvements and changes just in the week or so that has happened. Now, we won't officially air with them until Sunday, but this will be the episode that is, I do believe, going to go over there. So I just want to give them a hearty good morning. It's going to be kind of early for me, so I will not be live with you, but I will be with you, and that is Red State Radio. So I just want to thank everybody for tuning in over there. Now, again, lots to talk about, lots that's going on, but first, again, I want to talk a little bit more about this whole rail rider idea. So what is a rail rider, might you ask? Of course, loyal listener to the show, someone who believes that America is a land of freedom and opportunity still, someone who believes that with a little bit of guidance she can be the great beacon to the world that she once was and can be again, and someone who doesn't want to watch our freedoms continue to be eroded away. So if that's you, then welcome aboard. Consider yourself a rail rider. Now, that being said, I have something that I used to play a lot for the faithful, and I'm going to start it again, only because I've been really angry lately, and this pretty much sums it up.
I'm the enemy, because I like to think. I like to read. I'm into freedom of speech and freedom of choice. I'm the kind of guy who likes to sit in a greasy spoon and wonder, gee, should I have the T-bone steak or the jumbo rack of barbecue ribs with the side order of gravy fries? I want high cholesterol. I want to eat bacon and butter and buckets of cheese, okay? I want to smoke a Cuban cigar the size of Cincinnati in a non-smoking section. I want to run through the streets naked with green jello all over my body reading Playboy magazine. Why? Because I suddenly might feel the need to, okay, pal? I've seen the future. You know what it is? It's a 47-year-old virgin sitting around in his beige pajamas drinking a banana broccoli shake singing, I'm an Oscar Mayer wiener.
Some of you are laughing right now. I'm telling you, I know some of you are laughing right now. But with everything that's going on in the news, you tell me that we're not a lot closer to that than anybody wants to think. And I know, everybody thought, there's no way any of this could ever come to pass, because, come on, they had Arnold Schwarzenegger as the governor of California and then the president of the United States. Anybody remember the governor? I'm just asking. So again, there's been a lot of stuff going on in the news. A lot of stuff actually going on here at home with the K98 Talk family. And I want to talk about that again for a second. I know I talked about it last night with Jared. I talked about it after Jared left. And, of course, if you heard the episode over at amfm247.com today, then you heard us talk about it again. But I just have to tell you, this is one of the reasons why I feel our freedoms are completely being eroded away. We have media now that do nothing but attack. They don't fact check. They don't try to make sure they've got the story right. They go out, they attack. If they get it wrong, they print a retraction. So far, they haven't even done that. And again, if you don't believe what I said to you last night, and I'm about to say it again, then go back and listen to Monday's episode. Because I threw Jared, the host and one of the hosts and the producer of Red Nation Rising Radio, the biggest softball ever for him to basically have, as long as he wanted, to say whatever he wanted over the whole gay marriage issue. The first thing he said is, I want to put all religious objections aside. We need to focus on this, not the religious objections. And then he continued to outline why he didn't have a problem with it. Of course, I'm assuming other than the religious objections, which is my same stance. I do not think gay marriage should be allowed. Call me a homophobe, tell me I'm a hater, I don't care. It doesn't change the fact that just because I feel that way, and there are religious convictions as to why I feel that way, that I should try to hold everyone else on the planet to my same standard. Now, why that can't be applied everywhere, I'm not quite sure. Because the problem is, we have all of these groups that as soon as they get offended by something, or as soon as they think that they're being attacked, the first thing they want to do is start pulling things down and tearing them apart. And it's just crazy. I mean, there's so many things going on in the news right now, and we'll actually touch on those here in just a bit. But first, I wanted to do something I hadn't done in a while either, and that's just kind of give you a little bit of facts about this day in history, which is July 3rd. And they're both kind of pertinent. On this day in 1775, at 9 o'clock in the morning, General George Washington draws his sword and, by the authority vested in him by the Continental Congress, assumes command of the main American army in Massachusetts. Now, Fast forward a couple hundred years. Guess what show debuted this day in 1979? That's right, The Dukes of Hazzard. Now the scourge of the mainstream media due to its association with the evil, diabolical Confederate flag. You know, the interesting thing about this flap-up is, according to CNN of all places, the majority of the American public view the Confederate battle flag as a symbol of history and not a symbol of racism. That's right, folks. Even according to CNN, 65% of us have not lost our minds, regardless of what certain people want you to believe. Now, why do I bring this up, you might ask? And we'll probably come back to this because there's a lot to it. But I spent hours today debating with someone over this whole Confederate flag flap-up issue. And the fact that even though I myself don't necessarily support the Confederate flag, I don't behoove anyone else the right to fly it should they choose. Now, that doesn't mean that it shouldn't be flown, that it should be flown over state agencies or anything else if the people of those states object to that. But the simple fact of the matter is, and the point is, for the longest time, they didn't. So what's changed? What suddenly got everything so riled up and so much to the forefront that all of a sudden a piece of cloth is now evil? It's diabolical. It is a symbol of oppression. When 65% of the American people disagree with that statement, but we are still seeing things removed from shelves and pulled from stores and TV shows no longer being able to run. You know, I have to admit, I was indifferent as long as it was government buildings, because I can see the point. Government money probably should not be used or funded to keep those things flying. I see that point, because ultimately they lost the war. I understand it's a historical symbol. I understand, much as I tried to point out to somebody on my Facebook page over and over again today, just because they see a symbol of racism and oppression doesn't mean that other people don't see a symbol of history and don't see a symbol that might tie them back to ancestors that died during that time frame and stories that they were told by great-grandparents and grandparents alike. And so, I mean, just when are we going to realize the same thing that they keep trying to tell us is now the same thing that we're trying to tell them? We eventually caved in and listened and realized that not everybody in the world sees the same things exactly the same way that we do. So we caved in, you know, we gave the inch, they took a mile. Now we've got gay marriage, we've got token gay couples on every single TV show. You can't turn a TV show on anymore, no matter what time of day, without seeing some sort of a makeout session. And I'm not even talking about the gay makeout sessions at this point. Can I just point out that I actually enjoy several shows from the Sci-Fi Channel, and I was appalled the other day because I actually turned one of them on while my nieces were in the living room, and the only thing that made it not TVMA was the fact that one of the people involved actually still technically had clothing over the parts, but there was the rubbing and the panting and the heavy breathing. I mean, look, nobody wants to see that. Nobody wants to see that all the time. Why do we have to have it all the time? I can tell you why, because it sells. Now, that being said, I'm not saying it should be censored. I'm really not. But I'm saying, you know, maybe you should run that. I mean, you know, granted, I guess in this case it was kind of my fault. That show normally comes on at like 9 o'clock at night. But I remember when you could watch things that were basically considered somewhat network TV, and while you got a little heavy petting and some kissing once in a while, you didn't get the, oh my god, they're basically doing it with their clothes on for 5 minutes, and it just keeps going and going and going. Luckily, it was DVR'd, so I could fast forward through it. But, again, what is it with the human species that we have to push the envelope on everything? Because that's what's happening. We used to push the envelope technologically. We used to push the envelope with our inventions, our ideas. Now it's all turned into art and expression, and we have to push things as far as they can humanly go before we possibly break them. And most of the time what winds up happening is everybody gets offended, but nobody wants to say anything. A lot of us won't say anything because, look, yeah, just because I'm offended, that doesn't mean that somebody else is going to be offended. That's what freedom is. That's what freedom means. That's what all of these people down all of these centuries and all of these family lines that have fought, bled, and died for what we're going to celebrate tomorrow and what we continue to celebrate every year, because there are still people that are fighting, bleeding, and dying for those freedoms today. That's what those things represent. That's what freedom means. You do not have the right to not be offended, but you do have the right to turn the channel. Or you have the right to not watch the show. Or you have the right to not buy the flag. But why does it have to be that now nobody can buy the flag? They've pulled it down from Fort Sumter. Historically speaking, that's appalling. I do not understand this country anymore. I suddenly have this urge to rewrite Green Eggs and Ham and put it to words of today with all the crap that we're going through. And I know other people have done that, but I keep having this same recurring stuff running through my head over and over and over again. And I don't understand how if 65% of the American people took a poll and said, hey, no, racist? No, it's historical. I mean, can we not just come to terms with the fact that some of our history was dark? I'm telling you right now, there are things about the Civil War that we're never going to know. It was not as cut and dried, black and white, or blue and gray as you want to call it. That was the majority of the argument that I had with someone today on my personal Facebook page, over and over again. His whole argument, anytime I tried to bring anything up, North good, South bad. That was the argument. Anytime I tried to say, look, I understand that the North wound up being on the side of slavery, but what you don't understand is there were papers that came to light back in 2011 that actually resulted in a book being published. Because up until that time, everybody knew that Lincoln was kind of flirting with the idea of repatriation of all of the freed slaves, or at least the ones that were willing to go, but they didn't know how much he actually wanted to do it, and how much he had to tell people he was going to do it to get the North behind the concept of emancipation. Because even the North didn't want to deal with emancipation unless the majority, at least, of the black population was going to be repatriated elsewhere. If not for Lincoln's assassination and the fact that a few months prior to that, the whole movement had started to break apart because the people that we had roughly 100 years earlier had won our independence from, he was reaching out to them through back channels to bring some ships over to move them to other places. And that was how he got the majority of the support he needed for the war. Now, I'm not trying to down Lincoln because, I've always been a Republican. But it's time for us to understand that history is not what we think it is. And these knee-jerk reactions and these black and white things that we have always thought they were is what have led us here. Republican good, Democrat bad. Democrat good, Republican bad. Both sides have crappy ideas. Some of both sides have good ideas, except for Bernie Sanders and his 90% capital gains tax rate and the fact that he embraces socialism. I mean, I don't understand it anymore, folks. I do not understand it at all. I don't understand how we have become this namby-pamby group of people that think that just because one person out of 100 might be offended, we have to remove anything that could possibly offend them. Why don't we maybe I should just change the name of the show to Ban All the Things and put the little stupid picture of the meme with the little fairy-looking thing with the wand over the head, and it's like, ban all the things, because that's where we're headed. That's one of the points I kept trying to get across over and over and over again today. Yes, I understand today that there are no bans in place, because that's one of the things that this person kept bringing up over and over and over again, that it's not a ban, that it's companies making the decision. I submit to you today, and this will probably put me on a watch list if I'm not there already, that while it might not be anybody that's prominent in this administration taking a front seat approach to making sure that this stuff happened, I guarantee you they had a back channel going on somewhere, because it fits his exact narrative for the entire time he's been in office. Attack, divide, and basically provoke. It's what he's done the whole time he's been in office. So you can't tell me that someone who was basically following the whole Cloward-Piven doctrine is not going to look at this and start coming up and going, hey, Valerie, make some phone calls, would you? Let's see if we can get some people even more pissed off and distracted. Because again, let's not forget, and this is the main reason I'm still talking about this stuff, because otherwise I'd be crying, we done had the TPP passed right underneath our noses by conservatives. You know, the same people that said they're the party of freedom sold themselves on a street corner like a bunch of cheap hookers. Granted, well, I guess they really weren't cheap hookers. Some of them got like millions of dollars. But, sorry, had the company email open, didn't realize it. So that was an email from another affiliate. Very loud ding, sorry about that. Alright, so anyway, at this point, we'll go ahead and probably take the first break of the show at the half hour mark, and then we'll save the last one for the 45-minute mark. Now, I don't know. Where do I want to go next? Yeah, okay. Speaking, and a good tie-in, I guess. Speaking of socialism and, you know, the whole idea that things would be much better if we would work together and share things. You know, there's a certain writer who shared that same sentiment, which was Gene Roddenberry. Well, Mr. Sulu, George Takei, known as Mr. Sulu, actually had something to say the other day about a certain Supreme Court justice. And it seems to me it wasn't exactly in very good taste.
He is a clown in blackface sitting on the Supreme Court. He gets me that angry. I'm sure. He doesn't belong there. And for him to say slaves had dignity, I mean, doesn't he know that slaves were in chain? This man does not belong in the Supreme Court. He is an embarrassment. He is a disgrace to America. He is a clown in blackface sitting on the Supreme Court.
Alright, sorry, I was wondering why that was so long. Anyway, so, actually, maybe I did that on purpose. I think I was going to actually let it fade out with him saying that, but I kind of forgot. So anyway, so back to what I was saying a moment ago. So, George Takei, in a bit of a racist rant, basically calls a sitting Supreme Court justice a clown in blackface.
Oh my.
Yeah, exactly, Mr. Sulu. That's exactly how I feel. Because, you know, you just got all the rights you ever wanted, and the first thing you do is go on the attack. So what if the guy disagreed with you? Why are we not allowed to disagree with people anymore in this country? That's the same thing I kept saying over and over and over. I'm sorry, I know I keep going back to this, but you have to understand, I spent an hour and a half trying to talk to this person and make them understand that, yes, the Civil War was bad. Yes, slavery was bad. But that was not everything that it was about. Yes, Lincoln rallied around a singular issue and got support by telling people that if they went along with him, he would make sure that as many of them that wanted to leave the continent left the continent, because it was the only way to get them to go along. The South did much the same and rallied for the folks that did still believe that slavery was a good idea, and rallied them by making them understand that the only way that they were going to be able to remain free and be able to make that choice was to stand up to the Union. That's why, if you talk to somebody from New York, the Civil War was a war against slavery. But if you talk to somebody from the South, it was a war of northern aggression. I mean, I don't understand why, when the simple fact of the matter is, at this point, whatever that symbol might have once represented, it's been reclaimed a million times over. And if you don't believe me, go back and look at the stuff that Bill Clinton used as campaign material in 1992. Why was that okay then? Why has nobody for 40 some odd years been offended about the flag on the top of this car, and now all of a sudden it matters. Now let me tell you exactly how far this is going. This isn't just stopping with the flag. They've got the flag gone. Warner Brothers is no longer doing the replica of the General Lee. TV Land is pulling the Dukes of Hazzard. They're now talking about making Gone with the Wind unavailable. Now, granted, that's not a ban yet. It's not a ban yet. It's still the company that did all of it saying, yeah, maybe we'll get some backlash if this is still up here, so maybe we should make that go away. But again, understanding human nature, which I can do because I'm able to read history and I do my own research through history. It's not just the stuff that they taught me in school. But I'll have to admit the stuff that they teach now in school is a hell of a lot different than what I learned. But I still do my own research. Understanding human nature the way that I do, I tell you right now, just like in the time of Lincoln, if not for his assassination, there would have been a voluntary movement for people that wanted to leave the continent, that were freed slaves to leave. At some point, when they didn't get enough of them to leave willingly, it would have turned into something that was compulsory. That is what we do. That's how we operate. It starts off as something voluntary. It starts off gradual, and before you know it, they're making you do things. And that's exactly what's going to happen here. And what I kept trying to point out is, even if it's 40 years from now, what's going to happen if something that you grew up with, that you enjoyed, is now suddenly under attack, and everybody's looking at it in this totally different light, something that you never saw it as. I mean, hell, if anything, the Dukes of Hazzard poked fun at the whole war with the South. There were twin brothers in that show, Jefferson Davis Hogg and Abraham Lincoln Hogg. Jefferson Davis Hogg was evil, the epitome of crookedness. Abraham Lincoln Hogg was the best guy in the show, except for maybe Uncle Jesse. You didn't see him that often, but when he was there, he was straight arrow, did the right thing. So in their own way, they were tongue-in-cheek picking on the whole Civil War in the first place. Nobody wants to see that, though, because the car has a Confederate flag on the top. Never mind the fact that it was a show that you could sit down and you could watch, and nobody died, and nobody cussed, and nobody had makeout sessions, and it was just good TV. It was fun TV. We don't have fun TV anymore. I don't remember the last time I sat down and was able to watch something with my children without going, can we fast forward through this part? I mean, I don't understand that anymore. I don't understand how we always have to be this way. We always have to push things as far as they will ever go, any way we possibly can, and we just sit back and we let the people push and push and push and push and push, and we don't do anything about it. And I don't understand it. Alright, so at this point I'm going to have to take a quick break, folks. I'll be right back with you here in just a couple minutes. Alright, folks, as we go to break, I have a question. Are you in the market for a dependable used vehicle? Because if so, I know somewhere you need to check out today. They're located in Pryor, Oklahoma. It is Roberts Auto Chevy, Roberts Auto Dodge, and Roberts Ford Lincoln. They're, again, located in Pryor. They have over 2,000 vehicles available between the three lots. And if they don't have what you're looking for, they can and will find it for you if possible and still give you the best deal available. Call Ryan today at 918-693-2866. Again, that's Ryan, 918-693-2866. And tell him Rick from K98 Talk sent you, and they'll even give you a better deal. Can't beat that, folks. We'll be right back.
Wondering why you're up early with us on a Sunday morning making a cocktail? News lately got you drinking? Hungover from the mainstream media by Sunday? We are, and we got you covered.
We sure do. We got your hangover cure for those weekly news blues. So sit back, top off your mimosa, and add some Baileys to that coffee.
Take a match to your copy of the New York Times. Light, funny, and oh yeah, news with booze.
And a lot of laughter.
Welcome to Bloody Marys and Broadsheets.
We will never fully understand what we've asked of our military service members or their families, asking them to put themselves in harm's way, to endure it all. But we do understand that it's our turn, our duty, to keep them secure for the rest of their lives. Wounded Warrior Project long-term support programs help our most severely ill or injured veterans live independently, at no cost, for life, so that they might stand at ease. Join us at findwwp.org.
For our own cause, we got a pen and telephone to bypass all your laws. Political correctness will replace the Bill of Rights. Support religious freedom, bless you, pray to Jesus Christ. The press is in our pockets cause there's no a movement that the NSA can see. Don't expect equality.
All right, folks, we're back. This is America Off the Rails. I'm your host, Rick Robinson, and this is, again, Friday, July the 3rd, right before Independence Day. And we're watching everything go to hell. And I'm not sure what we're going to do to stop it, but we're going to keep trying anyway. Speaking of things that are completely going to hell, we've already talked about that, so, oh yeah. Let's talk about the Donald. You know, there was if you missed it last night, you really should go back and check it out. One of the other shows right here, K98 Talk, Game On with JD and Stacy, airs Tuesday nights, 8 o'clock, 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 Central. Thursday is 9 Eastern, 8 Central. But the Thursday night episode, which was last night at the time that this was recorded, was a great, great episode. I actually was hanging out in the chat eating popcorn. I'm not even playing. Because those two were, like, going after each other. Because JD's, like, this big Trump supporter. And Stacey's like, oh, my God, I can't believe you're supporting this guy. Because he basically just called all Mexicans murderers and rapists. And which he did. I'm not sure how I feel about what he said. I do think he brings some interesting flavor to what is now commonly being referred to as the circus known as the GOP primary, but I don't know if I necessarily like or agree with what he said. Now, that being said, there was a couple of little clips that I wanted to play here about the recent flap-up. I think we'll actually start with the older one first, which is basically NBC's reaction to what Mr. Trump said a few days ago.
NBC Universal has cut its ties with Donald Trump, citing his derogatory statements, calling Mexican immigrants rapists, drug dealers, and criminals.
Somebody has to come out and tell it like it is.
The real estate mogul stood by those comments before a packed house in Chicago, quoting a report by Fusion, owned by Spanish-language channel Univision and ABC.
They think it's like Mother Teresa's coming across the border, okay? This one says 80% of Central American women and girls are raped crossing into the United States. Well, I said drug dealers, I said killers, and I said rapists.
NBC says it will no longer air the Miss USA or Miss Universe pageants, partly owned by Trump, following a similar step by Univision, which also dumped the event. Trump is threatening to sue.
I'll be suing Univision. Maybe I'll be suing NBC too.
NBC was facing growing pressure to respond, with more than 200,000 people signing on to a petition on change.org calling on the company to dump Trump, and angry protesters denouncing him outside the Chicago event. The reality star and now presidential candidate had already planned to give up his hit show, The Apprentice. Amid the controversy, Trump has been surging in the Republican polls, up to second place in the first primary state of New Hampshire. Oozing confidence in classic Trump style, he touted the latest CNN WMUR poll.
There's a CNN poll, just came out. And they have interesting categories. Who's the best on terrorism? That's a pretty important subject. Trump right at the top. Who's the best on handling international trade? Like, not even close. Trump is like almost double anybody else, right? That's incredible.
As for the man besting him in that poll, former Florida Governor Jeb Bush, Trump says he's a nice guy who can't win in 2016.
Believe me, he will never, ever in a million years bring you home.
Oh, my.
So that's what NBC said about Trump. Now, from Bill O'Reilly, let's hear what Trump said about NBC.
Joining us now from his headquarters here in New York City is Donald Trump. Would you take any of that back or rephrase any of it if you could?
No, because it's totally accurate, and you should have let it play a little bit longer because it really covers it actually even a little bit better, but it's totally accurate. The border is a disaster, Bill. People are pouring in, and I mean illegal people, illegal immigrants, and they're pouring in. 300 and some odd thousand are in your state jails right now, according to Homeland Security. I have the report right here. Homeland Security. Over 300,000 are in between the state and federal jails and penitentiaries. In terms of rape, this is an amazing statistic. 80% of Central American women and girls are raped crossing into the U.S. Now, 80%. It's hard to believe even. This was written by Fusion. You know who Fusion is? It's owned by Univision. It was also put out by Huffington Post. So Huffington Post and Fusion, 80% of Central American women and girls are raped coming into the United States, crossing the border. So, you know, people say, oh, would you change it? Absolutely, I can't change it. I love Mexican people. I have a tremendous relationship. I also respect Mexico. But Mexico is doing a tremendous number against the United States. What they're doing to us in trade, first of all, they're killing us at the border. Second of all, Bill, what they're doing to us in trade is unbelievable. They're taking our jobs, they're taking our manufacturing, and they're taking our money. And now, I'm not angry at Mexico, because, frankly, their representatives and leaders are smarter than ours. I'm angry at our country for having such bad negotiators and such bad leaders.
Why do you think...
I think that's enough of that. He goes on for about another 5 minutes. Almost another 4.5 minutes. So, yeah, I think that's enough of that. Now, he does go on to mention the fact that he's actually suing Univision because he claims he has a 5-year contract with no type of an escape clause, and they didn't have grounds to sue him. So, apparently, he's suing them for like $500 million or some such thing. Now, I don't know, because Trump likes to use things like lawsuits to get publicity, and then once he gets what he wants from them, it basically drops them. So, I don't know what his intentions are here. And I don't know if it's because he's not a politician, but I can't stand by the fact that he specifically did say that Mexicans are the problem. If he would have said the majority of the illegals coming across the border happen to probably be criminals, that's a given because they're breaking the law to get in here. But when you specifically mention a race like Mexican and you say rapist and blah, 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 that singles out a single group. And the issue is, even he mentioned in some of the facts that he brought up there just a little bit ago, that Central America was where they had a lot of the rapes and everything else for most of the women and the young women that were coming across the border. Now, do I think he should be being vilified the way he is? No. Do I think he's going to be able to be president? Probably not. But I do think it will be fun to watch while he eviscerates some of the people that are too wussy to do what he's doing, which, I mean, he's got nothing to lose. He's got billions of dollars no matter what they try to do to him. He's already made enough money that he doesn't have to work another day in his life. And now, all of a sudden, I mean, it's entertaining to watch. Because to watch somebody who doesn't give a damn about what people think of him, doesn't give a damn what they say about him, and just tells you exactly what he thinks, we've needed that for a very, very long time. I know some of you are rolling your eyes right now. I don't care, because we've needed that for a very, very long time. Do I think he's going to make it past the primary? I doubt it. I'm a little surprised that he jumped up as far in the polls as he did after he made the statement. So maybe the American listener is not being as selective as I am, and realizing, or maybe they realize that he probably didn't mean just the Mexicans. But, I mean, in a little bit of a victory, the Obama administration has just admitted today that a large percentage of those coming across the border are criminals. I believe it's their exact word was gangbangers. So Granted, he could have made more headway had he not singled out the race of Mexican, but come on. Again, I think it's a non sequitur. It's most likely not going to be an issue because I will be surprised if he makes it past the primary. Doesn't mean it's not going to be fun to watch, though. Because it's just crazy. I mean, come on, dude. I forgot about this till just now. There is now a beer, a Mexican beer. And the literal English translation is F your hair. Let that sink in for a second. You tell me he hasn't managed to get under some people's skin. Which is exactly what he was trying to do. Now again, whether he's going to be able to become president or not, I don't know. I know at this point, I'm starting to feel like it may wind up being anybody versus Bernie Sanders. And if Bernie Sanders gets in office, we all die. Because I don't think at this point Hillary's got a shot. The sad thing is, about 8 years ago, I might have actually voted for her if she'd gotten the nod. I'm sorry, granted, once it became Obama, I held my nose, I pulled the lever, I went McCain, but I hate McCain. I have never liked McCain. And I don't even live in his home state. We should have Jared back on again sometime and tell everybody how much he hates McCain and why, because at least it'll make more sense coming from him. He's the one that's got to deal with him on a regular basis. I don't. I just have to listen to him rail and rant and rave and be delusional and promise people the last election cycle, get me elected and I'll finish the fence. Then he gets elected. What fence? I mean, like I said, I don't understand any of it anymore. I'm not even trying to pretend that I do. I just know that at this point in time, we have got to do something. So there are things that I've been doing. I've become affiliated with the Coalition for a Strong America. As a group, we're starting to work with a political PAC run by Louis Gohmert when our missions align. We've become affiliated with concealandcarry.net, which I had not given a shout out to yet today. So want to give a big shout out to those folks over there. We're now pushing our content through multiple outlets. AMFM247.com runs this show. SHR Media actually runs several of our shows. And Red State Radio just picked up this one. Now, I know lately you've heard me talk a lot about us trying to monetize, but I want to make something very clear to each and every one of you today. Money is not why I do this. It may or may not at some point become a nice benefit of doing this, but it's not why I do this. I want you to understand exactly how important all of this is to me. That's why as soon as I heard Jared came under attack the night before, I invited him on the show because I wanted to publicly support him where everyone can hear it, where they can go back and they can hear the archives. Because this country matters to me. If it matters to you, then we have got to do something. We don't have a choice anymore, folks. We cannot stay on the sidelines anymore. If anything, this whole Confederate flag thing has made me realize just exactly how screwed up this country is. Because we used to be able to look at things and go, I don't know if I'd do that, but maybe they see it a little bit differently than I do. Now it's, oh my God, that's evil. We have to make it go away. And people boycott. I mean, there's even people right now that are talking about boycotting Macy's and NBC and everybody else because of the way they've treated Donald Trump. Can we stop doing the tit for tat, please? It doesn't make any sense. I understand it works when the other side does it. But didn't we used to hold ourselves to a higher standard than the other side? Wasn't that the point? Are we going to start doing the whole political guerrilla warfare and the media knife fighting like they've done for years? I mean, is it eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth time? I don't know if I'm ready for that. I really don't know if I'm ready for that. And if you are, then maybe I'm just getting old. Maybe it's time for me to just sit here on the radio and rail and rant and rave. But I don't understand the mindset. I mean, I will defend people that I care about when they're attacked. But I'm not going to go on the attack for no reason. I don't have any skin in the game when it comes to Trump. He's already got billions of dollars. Why the hell do I care if Macy's wants to boycott his products? According to him, he said he wanted them to pull them anyway. So why should I get in a flap and I'm never shopping at Macy's again? Newsflash, I'm in Oklahoma City. They don't have them anyway. They tried once. They didn't last here very long. We had a Macy's about 5 minutes, maybe 20 minutes from here. For maybe a year and a half. We're Okies. We don't like paying them New Yorker prices. Stuff don't cost as much here as it does up there. Fellas, you can't come down here and say, oh, we're going to charge you $20 for this when we can go to Walmart and get it for $5. That don't work. It's not a good business model. I don't think that conservatives starting to adopt the policies and the procedures of liberal organizations is going to work either. That's what's led to the folks that we have in power now. They gave an inch and they said to do the things that we need to do, we need to become more like our opponents. Now they are their opponents. Look at McCain. When he went there, do you honestly think this was what he had in mind and what he planned on doing? Look at Rubio. He supported the TPP. Cruz, how close did he get until he finally started looking through all of the stuff for the TISA documents and everything else and said, no. Washington is a vile place. It is a swamp. And for a moment, I'm going to sound like Nancy Pelosi, but it's a swamp that needs to be drained. These people are not required to be in D.C. as much as they are. We'll talk about that a little bit more when we get back, because we've got to take another break. All right, folks, we'll be right back here in just a couple minutes. This is America Off the Rails. I'm your host, Rick Robinson. We'll be right back.
Never fully understand what we've asked of our military service members or their families, asking them to put themselves in harm's way, to endure it all. But we do understand that it's our turn, our duty, to keep them secure for the rest of their lives. Wounded Warrior Project long-term support programs help our most severely ill or injured veterans live independently, at no cost, for life, so that they might stand at ease. Join us at findwwp.org.
Hey, it's Cliff Davis from KLCI FM, the best radio station in the world. Coming soon. Stay tuned.
Hey everybody, this is Jason, host of According to Me. I'd like to invite you to check out my show. It's a 2-hour show that lasts 60 minutes and... listen, I hate to interrupt, but one thing I can do is read off a script. Just say, let me be clear a lot. It works. President Obama, I can handle this. It's a radio promo. I'm not green. I've done this before. Did someone say green? Now, Al Gore is here. Listen, I'm just trying to record a radio promo. Do you mind? Now, do you say good things about me on the show? No, not at all. But if it makes you feel any better, I rip on Republicans just as much. The AM radio frequencies give off very high levels of radiation. Look, my show is on the internet, which you invented. Can I just do my promo? I got a pen. I can veto that, you know. I know you got a pen. It's not a law. It's a radio promo. Listen, just listen to my show. Barack Obama and Al Gore hate it, so you're going to love it. Here's an executive order. Don't listen to his show. He doesn't like me. He's racist. And he doesn't recycle either. That's it. I'm done. It's According to Me, Wednesdays, 10 p.m. Eastern, right here on K98 Talk.
All right, folks, we're back. We're live. This is America Off the Rails. I'm your host, Rick Robinson, and we are down to about 6-7 minutes-ish. So let's get back to where we were before we went on break. All right, so hang on. Wrong button. Nice. I have to clean that up later. Okay, so where we were before we went on break. Simple fact of the matter is, whole country's gone to hell. And Washington is a swamp that needs to be drained. Again, look at all the people that went into D.C. with the best of intentions. They are not required to be in D.C. as often as they are. According to the Constitution, they're only required to be there a few weeks out of the year. Granted, that was to accommodate old school travel time, but why can we not bring them back home for the majority of the time? Make them face their constituency when they're trying to stab us in the back. We have created an aristocracy which was never supposed to exist in America, and we have abdicated our responsibilities. We have been asleep too long. We have got to wake up. At this point, folks, I'm terrified that it may even already be too late, but I cannot stop. I will not stop, because this country is supposed to be the land of the free and the home of the brave. Now it's become the land of the free stuff and the home of the depraved. And it terrifies me that things have gotten this bad. It terrifies me that we have such a polarized populace right now, that we have people that want to go around killing cops. We have people calling for the death of cops. We have people that are getting pissed off over a piece of cloth. We have people that are freaking out because there's a Ten Commandments monument that was placed on a courthouse steps. You know, never mind. Again, same scenario. You see 10 commandments, you may see a religious symbol. Granted, that is what it is. But it is also a historically significant symbol. It is the founding of our entire judicial system. So the audacity of somebody to say, hey, no, you can't put that in the courthouse. So are we going to get rid of thou shalt not murder next? Thou shalt not steal, because those are kind of important, and those precepts are what basically founded our entire legal system. So if we can't have a monument to those precepts outside of one of the halls of our legal system, are we going to do away with our legal system next? I know there's some anarchists that listen to the show right now that are like rubbing their hands together with glee, going, please, 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 can we just do away with it all? No government, no laws, no rules. Let's have anarchy. Mwahaha. No. Sorry to spoil your pinky in the brain moment, but no, we cannot have anarchy. We do need government. We need a lot less government than we have right now. A lot less government than we have right now. And what we need are politicians that actually abide by their oath and follow their oath, not throw it out for money, which is exactly what just happened with TPA, and now it's what's going to happen with TPP. And yeah, I know, everybody else is just starting to talk about it. We've been talking about it for months. Hell, Grouchy even beat me to it because I knew about it, but I had no idea how scary it was. He actually has an interview with Ambassador Bolton from our trip to SRL's Southern Republican Leadership Conference 2015, right here in Oklahoma City, where he actually interviewed him and started talking about the whole TPP and how it started under the Bush administration, for God's sake. It started because the original intention was to help combat the fact that China was such a growing economy. The issue that nobody's talking about, because everybody keeps saying this will be the way that we combat China. No, it won't, because it's dockable agreements. What does that mean? He who controls the money makes the rules. China already has more money than all of the other partners that are going to be brought into the TPP combined. And when they're ready to join, all they got to do is get a majority vote. And we can't stop it. If Iran decides they want to join, all they have to do is get a majority vote. We can't stop it. If ISIL Let that sink in for a second. You guys keep thinking it's this loose banded group of terrorists. No. They're trying to build an entire country. And when they manage to do it, and they're really close because our administration is a bunch of jackwagons who don't know what the hell they're doing, then at some point ISIL will be able to submit for a petition, and if they get a majority vote, we will be dealing with them. Let all of that sink in just for a moment. And I want you to think about that tonight and tomorrow while you're gearing up to spend time with your families and you're enjoying the freedoms that we currently hold dear and you're enjoying everything that this country once stood for. I want you to realize that on our watch, we have watched it fall. I'm sorry if that hurts. I'm sorry. Maybe you won't listen to the show anymore. I don't care. I didn't start this to build an audience. I didn't start this to make money. I did this because somebody has to tell you the truth. We have watched our nation fall. We just don't know it yet. Because everything is still lurching along. I tell you today, we do not have the freedoms we once enjoyed. This Confederate flag thing, case in point. We do not have the freedoms that we once enjoyed. Now, I hate to rain on everybody's holiday, but I'm serious. I want you to think about this. While you are watching the fireworks and you're enjoying the time with your family tomorrow and you're reflecting on what it is that it means to be free, I want you to realize how close we are to losing it all. I'm telling you now, it's technically already gone. We just don't know it yet. But there is still time. We have to wake people up. We have to get people's attention. We have to make them understand that it is time. And you know what I'm about to say, because I say it every show. It is time to get off the couch. It is time to put down the remote. And it is time to take back our country one step at a time. Find a cause that you can support. Find a politician that your ideals align with. Make phone calls. Knock on doors. Find a political group like we've done here. If you want more information, you're more than welcome to go check out Coalition for a Strong America. They have a website. Feel free to go look them up. You can look up the Louis Gohmert PAC. If you find that you and your ideals align with them, then by all means, help support them. Do whatever it is that you can do, because I don't know if we can save this country. I truly do not know. But what I do know is I cannot sit idly by. I cannot, and I will not, sit idly by and watch it go to the wayside on my watch. If I can stop it, if I can keep it from happening, then that is exactly what I'm going to do. And until I see you again, folks, happy 4th of July. This is Rick Robinson. You have been listening to America Off the Rails. I'll be back with you Monday. Actually, some of you Sunday.
Screw you guys. I'm getting home. Later.
Game over, man. It's game over.